Please can someone explain this? How the clouds are behind and in front of the moon at the same time. And this is shown in this video. It is actually impossible. If the moon is 238,000 miles away, how can the clouds be behind and in front of the moon? You will see right here. Like, that isn't, it's impossible. So I would like an explanation. If anybody has any explanation of why the clouds are behind the moon, drop it in the comments and we'll see what you come up with.
When I said I was gonna ruffle some feathers with this video right here, I had no idea I'd be getting like threats on my life and stuff over this video, dude. I just got one simple question for everybody. Seriously, one question. Where are the tire tracks that should be right here behind this? Hold on. Here's the original picture, okay? As you can see, there's a footprint. I had it cut right there. Here's a footprint right here. However, there's no tire tracks, none, that I can see. There's a dude sitting up there. There's where they fixed the fender with the little laminate and the duct tape and all that, because I guess they've been riding it. What appears to be moon dust. Many people are trying to say, oh, because the tires are meshed, that's why there's no tracks. Then the other one was, well, just because they hadn't driven it yet. They picked it up and set it there. What? I just want to know, man, why are there no tire tracks? I don't want to hear anything else. I don't want to hear any more. What about falling off the edge? We're not talking about anything whatsoever. Nobody has answered my question. The footprints kicked dust and got it on top. That's not what I'm seeing. Even if they're made of mesh, whatever, dude. You can see their footprints. How much do they weigh? How much does this thing weigh? Exactly, dude. Come on, man. Somebody just please answer my question. Just
Our planet rotates from west to east, so it's rotating counterclockwise. So if you were to take a plane from San Diego, California to Atlanta, Georgia, then you would be going with the rotation of the Earth. But from that latitude, the Earth would be spinning roughly 870 miles per hour, and a commercial airliner flies at 550 miles per hour. So that means that the Earth would be spinning faster than you. And if you were taking a flight from Atlanta to San Diego, since you would be going against the rotation of the Earth, then the flight time should be way faster than the one from San Diego to Atlanta. But it's only like a 30-minute difference. And if you were flying from San Diego to Atlanta, then you would never even actually make it to Atlanta, because the Earth would be spinning over 200 miles per hour faster than you. 300 miles per hour faster. And people say that's because the atmosphere is rotating with the Earth simultaneously. But what about all of these atmospheric events? Tornadoes, hurricanes, all sorts of different weather conditions in the atmosphere. If a hurricane has winds of 120 miles per hour, it will quite literally rip the roofs off of buildings.
This plane behind me, in and of itself, proves that the Earth is flat. Well, this is a Lockheed SR-71 Blackbird. Its top speed is 2,200 miles per hour. Also, the SR-71 can fly at altitudes above 80,000 feet. If the Lockheed can fly over 2,000 miles per hour, how much curvature should it count for to stay at the same altitude? Again, to make sure we're all on the same page, its top speed is 2,200 miles per hour. Let's just say there's 2,200 miles between point A and point B. That means that there would be 570 miles of curvature drop between the 2 points of reference. That means the Lockheed would be dipping down 9.5 miles per minute, or 836 feet per second. I don't think y'all caught that. 836 feet per second. But let's just see what NASA has to think about planes flying over the Earth. This is NASA's document 1207 called derivation and definition of a linear aircraft model. This report documents a derivation and definition of a linear aircraft model for a rigid aircraft of constant mass flying over a flat, non-rotating Earth. Wait, what? Flying over a flat, non-rotating Earth? As well as a helicopter, a mathematical model of a CH-53 helicopter. The helicopter equations of motions are given in body axis with respect to a flat, non-rotating Earth. Seriously guys, it's right in your face. But there's only one problem with that. Why assume any planet, let alone Earth, to be flat and non-rotating? Think about it. And they tell us we live on this ball, spinning, processing through space.
Alright, back with another one on Don't Believe Me, read it for yourself. So, Geo Enigma says, this is how Japan attacks Pearl Harbor according to flat earthers. I'm not going to dig him on the spelling, or her on the spelling, but I just want to show, like, this is what people show you. They're like, oh, this doesn't make any sense. How could Japan have flown all that way and attacked Pearl Harbor on a flat earth? It doesn't make any sense. Haha. I mean, it actually really only makes sense on a flat earth model. So you have Japan over here and then Hawaii right there. So I mean, it really only makes sense using this type of map. But
3 proofs that the Earth is flat. First, ships can always see lighthouses, no matter how far they are. If the Earth were a sphere, this wouldn't be possible. Second, the temperature difference between Antarctica and the equator is huge, although the distance between them relative to the sun in the round Earth theory is minimal. The flat Earth theory shows this clearly, because the sun rotates above the equator and it is hot there, and further from Antarctica and therefore cold there. Third, if the Earth were a sphere, airplanes would have to constantly adjust their angle, but they don't. This means that they would eventually fly into space, but this doesn't happen, which again shows that the Earth is flat.
What was the scariest moment of the journey?
Scariest. It didn't happen. It could have been scary.
Why has nobody been to the moon in such a long time?
Because we didn't go there, and that's the way it happened.
I remember my parents waking me up and we went down and we watched you guys land on the moon.
No,
which
you
was
didn't. No, you didn't.
What?
You watched animation.
So did we go or not? That's the question. Let me tell you this. We're talking about 55 years ago. This was before microwaves, before cell phones. Actually, your cell phone has 1 million times more power than all of their computers combined. And you're telling me in the 1960s, they took a cracker box all the way over there, got out in that aluminum foil thing and walked around and got out and flew all the way back, and they did it on the first attempt, and we haven't been back? I mean, come on. I know it's like, when I tell people this, adults, it's like I told them Santa Claus is not real, but I want to know what your thoughts are. Let me know below.
You know those videos where they said they stabilized the camera to view Earth's rotation? Please tell me you're not one of the people who believe these videos. I mean, you're placing Earth's center of rotation at the surface of Earth, meaning that place on the surface is what the whole Earth is rotating around. It's like a hula hoop around your finger. I know that they say the Earth is tilting and wobbling, but that much of a wobble? Really? Come on. No, that's not what's going on here. Now, think about this. People look at this, these go viral, these videos, and people actually think it's showing the rotation of Earth. What's really happening is they're taking the camera and stabilizing the stars, right, with the camera, and either digitally or sometimes physically causing those stars to stay centered so that everything else around appears to be what's moving, right? So no, it's not capturing Earth's rotation. It's just an effect.
This is Jack Parsons. There's a lot of debate on it, but if you read the book Strange Angel, you can really learn that Jack really did invent solid rocket fuel through his own laborious efforts of driving from Pasadena to Riverside, California to March Air Force Base to test formulas, and he spent his own money on it until it was accomplished in August 1941. Now, a lot happens between 1941 and when my uncles meet his wife, Marjorie Cameron, in 1951. I'll speed the story up and explain why I'm making this video. I woke up about 8 months ago with the most bizarre epiphany I've ever had. The only way I could describe it would be like otherworldly. And what I heard was over and over again, I was finally understanding what my Uncle Greg meant back in 2006. I would like drive him to doctor's appointments because he was in his 80s, and my Uncle Martin had passed away in 2003. So I knew my Uncle Greg was really depressed and sad. And he lived at the top of the Hollywood Hills. I moved to LA, so I would go visit him and take him to the doctor or take him to Trader Joe's or something like that, you know? I had heard my uncle tell this story quite a few times because my brothers would make him. But sometime around like 2007, I remember my uncle telling me the story in a different way. This time he kept saying, and he was sobbing, he was saying, they said he would have himself, but he would have never done that. Jack would have never done that. Jack would have never done that. And I was 24, so I think I just thought he was an emotional old man. But I think through my own suffering, finally in recent years, it hit me that he believed there was another reason Jack died that day on June 17th, 1952. Jack and Marjorie already had their bags packed that day to flee to Mexico. And, you know, when I first started all this research, I thought that my theory that someone decided to end Jack was a little bit controversial and made up. But after I did all my research, I decided it's absolutely accurate, because as an English teacher, you want to know what to look for. It's what people don't say. And if you read Strange Angel, written in 2006, my Uncle Greg is referenced in the book multiple times, you will hear the real story of how Caltech, JPL, NASA, rocket propulsion, space travel, all of that came about. And it is not what is on their websites. Frank Molina is credited with everything. And I have another weird theory. My uncles went on to have careers that didn't make any sense prior to the explosion. They went on to have wealth that didn't make any sense prior to the explosion. My family member, Martin, comes from a town of 1,000 people where my mom's high school's been demolished by now. How? How did my uncles end up at the top of the Hollywood Hills? And how did this man get erased from history?
Hi. So, how many of you guys knew that in 2000 that the CIA released documents that were done back in 1957 where they are clearly talking about the firmament, the flat earth, and the near sun? I'm going to show you these documents, and then I'm going to walk you through how you can find them. This isn't just a theory or guess. These are their own words in classified Soviet scientific study, translated and archived by the CIA. Now you can look it up by this number up here, and here it is again. They do not use the word atmosphere. They said firmament, a biblical term for the solid dome above the earth. And they measured light along with it, the brightness of the firmament. And that proves that they were operating under the assumption of a contained system. And here's where they're talking about flat earth. It appears in print and deliberately. Quote, giving some calculations based on the assumption of a flat earth. They weren't mocking it or denying it. They were basing measurable light and calculations on it. And that means the math and the instruments that they used made more sense under a flat earth framework. Now for the near sun halo. Quote, from a surface perpendicular to the near sun halo. That confirms that the sunlight was being measured as near and not 93 million miles away. And the only way that makes sense in a high transparency, direct angled experiment is if the sun is local. They approved this to be released in 2000, but the research was done in 1957. meaning this was hidden away for decades. And why would they translate it from Russian, then archive it, and then redact parts of it if it were meaningless? I'll tell you why. Because it supports a flat Earth geometry, a near and local sun, the firmament as real and an observable boundary, and the fact that the CIA quietly acknowledged it. You want your smoking gun? There it is.
Hi guys, Dawn here. Want to share a poem that I wrote right after I awakened to the flat earth, and I hope you enjoy it. It's called God's Home. So, let me put my glasses on. They found the edge, they found the dome. They found how God had made our home. From the beginning of Genesis, where dry land appeared, from the beginning of creation, the firmament was near. See, whenever Richard Byrd finished his Antarctic quest, indeed a frozen circle was Earth's best. So we're of heaven and all its stars. Operation Fishbowl will show you they did not go far. They bombed and rocketed as much as one could, but to penetrate heaven they never would. So they gathered together at the UN, making a treaty between all men. The Antarctic Treaty will say, no one is allowed to go to the edge. No one is allowed to tell of the dome. No one is allowed to tell the truth of God's home. They say it's all for the good of humanity, but all it is total insanity. The earth is flat, the earth is still. We are protected by the dome and by God's will. And greater than that, God is nearer than we were led to believe. For just above the starlit dome is the place where he sits. Yes, it's God's glorious throne. We are not a speck of dust thrown into space. We are not a spinning ball tilted yet in place. We are God's creation, the apple of his eye, so loved and cared for that he sent his son for us to die. And now the day is far spent, and the time of his coming is close at hand. Unplug from the lies and deception of man. In all earth's beauty, in all earth's grace, the truth shall be known in every place. The globe is a lie, and outer space too. Remember they laugh at how easy it's been to fool you. So, there you have it. That was my first poem that I wrote right after I woke up to the truth of not just flat earth, but of so many other deceptions and lies of the world, and I'm so grateful to not be asleep. God bless all. Bye.
On a trend that's currently rising, mix it with Curly and Larry and Moe. Hey yo! When's it gonna stop? Maybe never. I become richer with every endeavor. I'm living large and my bank is stupid, cause I just listen to real rap and stupid.
The Flat Earth map dates back over 1,000 years. This map is credited to being created by a Persian astronomer. His name was Al-Biruni, and he lived between 973 AD to 1048 AD. It's the official map of the United Nations and also the United States Geological Survey. It used to be present in many places before the creation of NASA and the Antarctic Treaty in 1959. Here you see it with Admiral Byrd. This map has been restored by Dmitry from Russia with suggestions of mine, Idia Lenkar. Known by my YouTube channel Flat Earth Banjo, I asked Dmitry to include the Bermuda Triangle and Point Nemo, a place deep in the Pacific where NASA buries rockets. Then Robert Tozzi, a professional mapmaker, came along and enhanced the map even more. There are many people now selling this map online. but if you could order it from my online store, I would greatly appreciate it. Visit my online store now and order one of the items. I humbly thank you.